Hi, I'm Anthony Mangano, your host, and welcome to City of Churches. Today, we're in an area of Queens once known as Blissville to visit St. Raphael's Church. Come on. We're on the outskirts of Long Island City, Queens, near Calvary Cemetery and Newtown Creek, in a section once known as Blissville, a tiny village named after a local 19th century land developer and industrialist, Josiah Bliss. Josiah also helped establish Greenpoint, Brooklyn, and built the first bridge in Newtown Creek in the 1860s, linking the two towns. Before we get to St. Raphael's Church, I'd like to tell you a little bit about its pastor, Father Jezewicz. Father Jerry does a religious magic act for children as Priesto the magician. Please, take a look at this short clip.
Hi boys and girls, it's me, Father Jerry, the priest magician, hoping to get your attention with a few magic tricks in order to help you understand, perhaps, a few aspects of our faith in a visual way. This is a collection bag from my church, which is St. Raphael's in Long Island City. Don't worry, there's no collection right now. We're going to use the collection bag to do this trick. Inside the bag is a scarf, a scarf, and nothing else. Let me show you. The bag is empty. It's kind of difficult to see, but there's a zipper on the bottom of the bag, and I'll undo the zipper, put my hand through, and you can see the bag is empty. Yoo-hoo, yoo-hoo. I close the zipper and then take that scarf, which represents, as I said, the darkness of the culture of death. The recent popes have said that our job as Christians is to confront this culture of death and its lack of respect and lack of reverence for human life, and transform this culture of death into a culture of life through our faith. This seems like such a hard and impossible thing to do, but we have to remember that when we were baptized, we received the Holy Spirit of Jesus Christ to do precisely that.
That's pretty good, huh? Well, we're going to meet Father Jerry in a few minutes, but before we do, I'd like to tell you about this historic neighborhood. Did you know that in 1870, Blissville was incorporated into Long Island City, along with other small towns like Sunnyside, Dutch Kills, Ravenswood, Astoria, and Bowery Bay? In 1898, Long Island City became part of New York City. By 1928, the number 7 elevated subway train along Roosevelt Avenue was completed. The local landscape quickly changed from rural to urban in just a few short decades. The 46th Street subway stop was originally called Bliss Street. When Manhattan was running out of cemetery space back in the 1840s, several large commercial cemeteries were created out here in Queens. By 1847, Queens had 29 different cemeteries, which inspired the old saying, Queens is the city of cemeteries, but Brooklyn is the city of churches. Calvary Cemetery was first established back in 1848 by the Roman Catholic Archdiocese of New York. Now, this is the largest cemetery in the United States, with over 3 million burials. There are many Catholic war veterans from past conflicts that are buried here. Beneath the central chapel is a series of crypts where deceased priests of the Archdiocese of New York are buried here. Inside this cemetery are several celebrities of the past whose names are all but forgotten today. Brooklyn-born Baseball Hall of Fame right fielder Wee Willie Keeler was buried here in 1923. Keeler held the record for the longest consecutive hitting streak, 44, prior to Joe DiMaggio's streak of 56. Keeler played for the New York Giants and the New York Yankees. Composer Joe Howard, who died in 1961, composed dozens of songs for Broadway shows in the early 20th century, and he was known for such popular hits as I Wonder Who's Kissing Her Now and Hello My Baby. And Joe Howard was finally inducted into the Songwriters Hall of Fame in 1970. Now in 1928, four-time New York State Governor Al Smith, who was part Irish and part Italian, he became the first Roman Catholic Democratic presidential candidate. Well, he lost to Herbert Hoover. Well, we arrived, St. Raphael's Church. Let's go inside and meet Father Jerry. Come on.
It's the long-awaited brand new season of Net's Emmy Award-winning series, City of Churches, with more churches, old and new, and the neighborhood surrounding them. Join us for the unmatched skilled architecture and the fascinating history of our parish churches. For a unique view the public doesn't usually see, tune in for the return of Net's Emmy Award-winning program, City of Churches.
Returning soon with all new episodes and a new host, me, Anthony Mangano, right here on Net. Father Jerry, it's finally great to meet you.
Likewise, Anthony.
What a beautiful church. I've been walking around observing everything, and I hope you wouldn't mind if you'd answer a few questions for me and the viewers. If you don't mind, I'd like to ask you about, if you could tell us a little about the history of the church, when it was established, how it was established, and the meaning of St. Raphael. Raphael.
The parish community dates from the 1860s, but the actual roots of the parish stem from the mid-19th century, when this was all farmland, and the Archdiocese of New York bought a tract of farmland right next to where we are at this time, and developed it into a cemetery, which is now Calvary Cemetery, the largest graveyard in the borough of Queens. There are over 3 million people. There are more people dead in Queens than there are alive. And the Archdiocese continues to own Calvary Cemetery. And with the opening of the cemetery came jobs for grave diggers and other cemetery workers. And there was also a development nearby called Blissville, creating homes for factory workers in Greenpoint, which is just over the bridge here. And so this area started to develop. And with the new Diocese of Brooklyn that had been taken off of the Archdiocese of New York, the bishop wanted to found churches, parishes in this neighborhood to serve those people. At that time, the people here were mostly Irish immigrants, but there was a group of German immigrants as well, and a priest from Germany, Father Theodor Getz, came over to serve the congregation here, became affiliated with the cemetery, was involved in the construction of the first church, which was just outside the front door of this church.
Really?
And that was in the 1860s. And then eventually that church was not structurally sound and was too small to accommodate the congregation. And that's when the building of this larger church that we are in right now took place. The cornerstone to this church reads 1881. But you don't understand the history of St. Raphael's Church apart from the history of Calvary Cemetery. That was the impetus that spurred the development of this parish.
They went hand in hand together.
Right.
Wow. Now tell me, just out of curiosity, what impact did it have when this was all you can hear the horns and honking? The highway was the Long Island Expressway or the BQE?
Right. We're on the service road of the Long Island Expressway, which used to be Horace Harding Boulevard and became this expressway in the 1960s. Before that time, I mean, when the church was built, there was grass from here all the way to the cemetery. So
wow,
this was all church property, and parishioners lived there, and so this was a big impact on the parish. As a matter of fact, the pastor at the time wrote to the bishop at that time, who was Bishop McIntaggart, and suggested that this church be torn down and another church be constructed on 37th Street on parish property because of the impact that the construction of the Long Island Expressway would have on the community. This being isolating this church compound on a kind of a triangle, not easily accessible because of the service roads of the highways. And fortunately, the bishop at that time rejected that request, much to the happiness of the parishioners here, and St. Raphael's Church continues to stand to this day. In the early 90s, the Korean Martyrs Apostolate, a community of about 200 plus Korean Catholics affiliated here with St. Raphael's, which strengthened our numbers and our membership, and they are with us to this day. These are people who do not necessarily live in the immediate area. They live in other parts of Queens, Brooklyn, Long Island, even some in Manhattan, but come here as a community worshiping in Korean every Sunday and have extensive activities on parish property. So our community is a trilingual Catholic community. We have English speaking, of course, and we also have a large Hispanic Latino community, Colombians and Ecuadorians primarily, with a recent influx of Mexicans. But the bulk of the parish is in a neighborhood which is very multi-ethnic, so many of our Latino parishioners come from a whole number of countries. But we also have Mass here in Korean on Sundays.
Wow, that's fascinating. It's like a silver lining to everything. The church still stands. In light of all the traffic, it's still here. I have to tell you, I've been looking around from the beginning since I got here, and I'm amazed at how many stained glass windows there are and how large and beautiful they are and colorful. Can you explain that to us about that?
Well, they're huge because the windows date from a time when worship spaces were not yet illuminated with electric light bulbs. And so the idea was not only adornment of the space, but also to allow as much natural light, sunshine, to come through those windows to illuminate the church.
Wow, it's like a rainbow effect in it, which is amazing. I noticed that the pipe organ is there. Is that the original organ?
That organ dates from the turn of the 20th century, and it never was really repaired in a holistic plan type of way. So repairs were done, and we don't generally use it anymore. If a bride, for example, wants it used on her wedding day, it's playable, it's fine, but there was never any real restoration done in a complete sense of the instrument. Behind the organ, is the spire of the church, behind and above, and in 1932 there was a huge four-alarm fire here when an ironworks company, which was located right behind the church, caught on fire, and somehow a spark was transmitted to the steeple, and the whole steeple was destroyed, and the big cross outside fell to the ground. But that was immediately restored, and I'm sure as part of that restoration some repairs were done to the organ as well.
I was also so fascinated with the paintings of all the saints that surround the church. I mean, are they, I would imagine they were restored or refurbished, but could you explain a little about that?
These are paintings of the apostles to show the continuity of the Catholic tradition dating all the way back to the apostles. And they appear in the original pictures of the church, so I'm sure they were restored over the years. but they are part of the original iconography of the church.
Wow, it's amazing. They're absolutely beautiful when you look up at them. I saw that you brought a picture. Tell us in your own words, I mean, it kind of looks the same, except I saw that there's a lot more angels above the altar. Was this redone at any time?
Yeah, well, you can see from this picture, which dates probably from the 1920s, that the saints at the upper level, who are the apostles, were still there, so they do come from the original church. Behind the altar, there was a whole ornate display of angels in connection with the fact that the church is dedicated to the Archangel Raphael. And after the Second Vatican Council in the 1960s, the idea was to simplify the decoration. And so they were whitewashed, and a subsequent pastor decided that that was not right. So right now we have paintings behind the altar of 4 paintings of angels, the 3 archangels, Raphael, Gabriel, and Michael, as well as the guardian angel. So to maintain that theme, but that's not the way it originally was.
It's so beautiful. We were talking about the stained glass windows before, but I look up at them and they're absolutely beautiful. Can you explain that to me? I mean, there's 5 of them. Were they originally here?
They're part of the original church. These stained glass windows in the altar area, the sanctuary, Christ in the center, the Blessed Mother on one side, St. Joseph on the other. But then curiously 2 saints that you couldn't easily explain why they're up there. On the right side, St. John the Evangelist, and on the left side, St. Stephen the Deacon. And if you look at the inscription at the bottom of the window, it turns out that the donor of the window had the saint of his or her his name indicated in the stained glass. So the donor's name, John someone, and Stephen
so
someone.
Whoever they donated it with the so that they had their
patron,
name,
their patron
saint. Okay, when we come back, Father Jerry is going to describe something very special and unusual here at St. Raphael's Church. So please, stay with us.
It's the long-awaited brand new season of Net's Emmy Award-winning series, City of Churches, with more churches old and new and the neighborhood surrounding them. Join us for the unmatched skilled architecture and the fascinating history of our parish churches. For a unique view the public doesn't usually see, tune in for the return of Net's Emmy Award-winning program, City of Churches.
Returning soon with all new episodes and a new host, me, Anthony Mangano, right here on Net. Father Jerry, you answered so many questions for me and the viewers, and we're so appreciative. Like I had asked before, what would you say is the most unusual symbol in the church here at St. Raphael's?
Well, I think the most striking image would be the statue of the patron, St. Raphael himself.
And we always seem to come back to this statue, so there has to be some special significance. Can you explain it to me and the viewers?
Well, this is a statue of the patron of the church, the Archangel Raphael, who is mentioned in the Hebrew scriptures, what we would call the Old Testament, the book of Tobit. And his name means God heals. Raph, that particular root, is the Hebrew word for healing. As a matter of fact, the word for a physician in Hebrew is Raphael, the same root. And he is invoked as a patron saint of those who are ill. He's often depicted with a fish in his hand, out of which an ointment was made that healed a sick person. He's also depicted with a walking staff because he is the patron of travelers. Another picture of St. Raphael in this church has him at the top of the staff, a gourd filled with water as a canteen, provisions for the journey. That idea is he watches over those who are traveling, those who are ill.
So he's basically the saint of healing.
A messenger of God's healing.
Wow. And for more than just the Catholic faith, that's amazing.
Comes from the Jewish tradition.
Wow. I'd like to thank Father Jerry for showing us around St. Raphael's Church. There's a lot of parish memories here, and I, as well as the audience, would like to thank you. Well, that's it for this week's episode of City of Churches. If you'd like any more information about this church, or any other church in our series, or you'd like to suggest a church, you can log on to our website at www.netnewyork.net, or you can follow us on Facebook and Twitter. Until next time, I'm Anthony Mangano for City of Churches, and God bless you. Father, a duck, a rabbit.
These are part of the magic show that I do, the Priesto magic show. These animals live on the premises of the church, and children come here and visit them and see them in the show. The duck is the famous disappearing duck, and the rabbit appears out of nowhere.
Kids must love it. That's great. A church with a zoo. I've never seen anything. I think you got to start expanding.
God bless all of you. Thank you very much.